A past memory begins with the shattering of a guitar, a symbol of broken dreams, and a story about to unfold. He recalls a belief that true love allows one to see light in the darkest of places, like fireflies over a swamp. He feels a deep sense of doubt, believing such a hopeful idea could never apply to someone like him. His journey begins in darkness, pulling his luggage along, convinced his own soul is asleep and incapable of feeling. A sudden downpour catches a schoolgirl completely off guard, filling her with pure frustration. Taking shelter, her initial annoyance turns to a different worry. The laundry she left hanging on her balcony will be soaked. Suddenly, a gentle touch on her head startles her as a boy wordlessly points out the arriving bus. She recognizes the boy standing beside her, a familiar face from school, seemingly lost in his own world. Her mind screams his name in disbelief. Shen Yaoshu, the most popular boy in school. It is undeniably him. Her memory flashes back to the first day of school, where he stood on stage as the first-year representative. Even then, his presence was captivating, and all the girls in the audience were completely smitten. She remembers being one of the many girls fawning over his good looks and stellar academic achievements. His stellar success was even academic achievements publicized, a testament to his talent as he led the debate team to a national victory. With his remarkable performance and top-of-the-school status, he was practically revered as a deity among the students. This is the first time she has ever been this close to him, and her mind fixates on the small, distinct details of his hand. She notices the pristine white of his school shirt, impossibly clean and perfect. As she observes his rain-dampened hair, the world around her seems to slow to a crawl, heightening the moment. The heavy downpour continues, creating a private, isolated world under the bus shelter. She notices he's talking and wonders who could be on the other end of the line. A sudden, horrifying thought begins to dawn on her as she takes stock of their surroundings. They are completely alone at the bus stop. There is no one else. Believing he was talking to her, she nervously babbles advice about the rain, trying to fill the awkward silence she created. He calmly ends his phone call, completely unaware of her mortifying misunderstanding. The crushing realization hits her. He was on the phone the entire time. She steams with humiliation as he tells the person on the phone that the bus has arrived. The thought of sharing a bus with him now is too much to bear. She decides to let it go and wait for the next one. Finally, she arrives at the sanctuary of her apartment, announcing her return to an empty room. Her name is Tong Yucheng. Since her parents' divorce, this small apartment has been her solitary home. A framed photograph of her family, a relic from a past life, reminds her of the loneliness she feels. But over the years, she has grown resilient and self-sufficient, with her cat as her only constant companion. She greets her cat, Lao Wang, a gift from a neighbor from long ago that she named herself. She showers her grumpy cat with affection, her one true confidant in this quiet life. For years, he has been the only living soul consistently by her side. She gazes out the window, watching as the relentless rain continues to fall. The memory of the bus stop floods back, and she cringes, desperately trying to banish the mortifying moment from her mind. A jolt of realization cuts through her thoughts. She forgot about her laundry on the balcony. On the balcony, she finds her clothes completely drenched and sighs in frustration at the thought of rewashing everything. As she gathers the wet laundry, a piece of her underwear slips and tumbles over the railing. She peers down, formulating a plan to retrieve the lost item with a pole, hoping no one is around to witness it. While fishing with the pole, she feels an unexpected bump and wonders if she hit something. Suddenly, a voice calls up from below, and she looks down in shock to see a hand holding up her fallen garment. It's him, the boy from her thoughts, shirtless on the balcony below, holding her underwear and asking if it belongs to her. Mortified, she confirms it's hers, her mind reeling from this being the first time she's ever spoken to a shirtless man. Her embarrassment quickly turns to indignation. He not only picked it up, but he looked at it and laughed, a sound she finds infuriating. Mustering her courage, she confronts him from her balcony, demanding he return her property. He leans back, amused by her anger, and provocatively suggests she threw it onto his balcony on purpose. She sputters in furious denial, completely floored by his audacious and absurd accusation. From her vantage point, she glares down at the smug, perverted boy on the balcony below. The pieces click into place with dawning horror. This infuriating guy is her new downstairs neighbor. In a hazy dream, an impossibly gentle hand reaches out, touching her lips. She finds herself face to face with Shen Yaoshu, his presence gentle and his touch making her heart race. Surrounded by falling cherry blossoms, he asks if she remembers him. In the safety of her dream, She responds with a coy smile, playing along with the romantic fantasy. But the dream twists into a nightmare. Shen Yaoshu's face morphs into her neighbor's, who now has demonic features, and repeats his question with a sinister grin. She recoils in terror from the demonic figure, whose shadow looms menacingly on the wall behind her. Overwhelmed by fear, she screams for him to go away. A teacher's sharp voice yanks her from the nightmare. She's been caught sleeping in class and mumbles an apology. The teacher sternly orders her to sit down, her patience clearly worn thin. After composing herself, the teacher calls for the class's attention to introduce someone. She sinks into her seat, breathing a sigh of relief that the terrifying encounter was only a dream. The teacher announces a new student, Lu Yingche, and Tong Yaocheng turns to see who it is. The teacher prompts the new student to introduce himself, and Tong Yaocheng's eyes widen in recognition. Her mind refuses to accept it. This cannot be happening. She stares in disbelief, wondering how this boy, her neighbor, could possibly be standing in her classroom. A dreadful suspicion forms in her mind as she connects the dots. He glances in her direction, and she immediately panics, desperately trying to pretend she doesn't see him. To her absolute horror, he points directly to the empty desk beside her and asks the teacher if he can sit there. The teacher, though sensing he might be a handful, agrees to his request. As the teacher asks the class for a warm welcome, Tong Yaocheng slumps in her seat, utterly defeated. She hides behind her book, chanting a silent mantra, praying he won't look at her as he walks to his new seat. He stops at her desk and greets her with a smug smile, remarking on how quickly they've met again. The teacher mistakenly assumes they are friends and happily assigns Tong Yaocheng the task of showing him around, much to her dismay. She collapses onto her desk, wondering what she did to deserve such a cruel twist of fate. Now he's in her class, and she feels it's the worst thing that could have happened. To make matters worse, he is now sitting right next to her. During lunch, she's forced to show him the cafeteria, ordering her food while he lingers behind her. Fulfilling her duty, she begrudgingly offers to lend him her meal card since he doesn't have one yet. He takes the card with a grin, thanking his upstairs neighbor and reminding her of their awkward first meeting. She looks at him seriously, warning him that the incident on the balcony must remain a secret between them. He feigns ignorance, a playful glint in his eye as he pretends not to know what she's talking about. He then loudly recalls the pink thing, making her panic and hiss at him to be quiet. Flustered by his teasing, she turns and accidentally bumps into another student, spilling food from her tray. She looks with concern at the girl she's just collided with, whose uniform is now stained. She recognizes the girl as Kaio Zin, who looks down at the stain on her clothes with dismay. Tong Yaocheng apologizes profusely, insisting it was a complete accident. Kaio Zin's friend immediately jumps to her defense, aggressively berating Tong Yaocheng for her carelessness. Trying to make things right, she offers to take the stained blazer and wash it for her. The friend scoffs at the offer, but Kaio Zin quietly tries to tell her to stop making a scene. Her friends refuse to let it go, insisting that Kaio Zin is too nice and that Tong Yaocheng is entirely at fault. Overwhelmed by the confrontation, all she can do is repeat her apology. The confrontation continues to escalate as the group surrounds her, demanding to know how she'll fix the mess. Lu Yingche, who has been observing quietly, finally speaks up, clearly annoyed by all the yelling. He steps closer, telling the aggressive girls to stop making such a scene over nothing. With a slight smile, he calmly asks the group how long they intend to keep screaming in the middle of the cafeteria. Taken aback by his intervention, the friend defends their actions, shifting the blame back onto Tong Yaocheng. He suggests they handle the situation more maturely by sitting down and talking it over quietly. Having diffused the tension, he announces that he's hungry and ready to get his food, effectively ending the conversation. A tense silence falls over the group as they process the unexpected turn of events. Just then, Shen Yaoshu arrives on the scene, asking what the commotion is about. One of the friends, Lan Lan, immediately points the finger at Tong Yaocheng, trying to explain the situation to Shen Yaoshu. Kaio Zin steps in, graciously downplaying the incident and apologizing for her friend's harsh words. When Tong Yaocheng expresses concern for her clothes, Kaio Zin reassures her that she can simply change into her gym uniform later. She gives a warm, reassuring smile, telling Tong Yaocheng not to worry about it anymore. Shen Yaoshu gently reminds Kaio Zin that as competition winners, they have a group photo to take. He suggests she should change out of her stained clothes before the photo, and she readily agrees. With a final glance back, she excuses herself to leave with him. Watching them, Tong Yaocheng can't help but think how perfectly matched they look. They walk away together, a picture-perfect couple, like a work of art. Lu Yingche breaks her out of her daze by playfully tugging her hair, telling his upstairs neighbor it's time to go. He complains about being hungry, completely oblivious to her irritation. She finally snaps, yelling at him to stop pulling her hair. She insists he use her proper name, but he just pretends he can't hear her over the noise. Her shouting makes Shen Yaoshu and Kaio Xin turn back, concerned. Kaio Xin's gaze, however, bypasses Tong Yaocheng and fixes on Lu Yingche with a look of quiet recognition. The school day finally comes to an end. On cleaning duty, she hums to herself, thinking about relaxing at home with her favorite show later. A sudden, violent shouting from nearby shatters the quiet, startling her. She freezes, her mind jumping to the most dramatic conclusion about the source of the noise. As she listens more closely, she recognizes the angry voice. She peeks around the corner and sees Lu Yingche on the phone, his tone clipped and impatient. His voice grows colder as he dismisses the person on the other end, telling them to stay out of his business. Finally, his frustration boils over, and he yells into the phone for them to stop bothering him. Witnessing his outburst, she's taken aback by the intensity of his anger. Feeling genuinely frightened, she decides the best course of action is to sneak away quietly. But just as she turns to leave, he hangs up and catches her eye. He calmly admonishes his upstairs neighbor, pointing out that it's rude to eavesdrop. Flustered, she denies eavesdropping, claiming his voice was so loud it was impossible not to hear. He ignores her protest, announcing that he has something to do. He then casually asks her to hold his backpack for him. She stares at him, annoyed and unwilling to be his personal bag holder. Before she can protest further, he shoves the bag into her arms and thanks her. As he walks away, he coolly informs her that he will stop by her apartment later to retrieve it, leaving her sputtering in his wake. Meanwhile, the photo session for the competition winners is underway, with Shen Yaoshu and Kaio Xin posing perfectly. The photographer announces the end of the long session, thanking everyone for their hard work. As everyone disperses, Shen Yaoshu checks his watch, a flicker of concern on his face. Kaio Xin notices his anxiousness and asks if he is in a hurry, which he quietly confirms. She kindly tells him not to worry about her and to go ahead if he needs to leave. He still seems hesitant to leave her alone, telling her to be careful on her way home. She smiles and reassures him that she will be fine. Just as he leaves, two unpleasant-looking guys appear, blocking Kaio Xin's path with slimy smiles. A look of dread crosses her face as she recognizes the two boys. One of them grabs her wrist, chiding her for looking like she wants to run away. She struggles against his grip, angrily telling him to let her go. Her resistance only seems to amuse them, as they mock her fierceness. They claim they only want to take her out to eat, pressuring her not to refuse them again. Her anger intensifies as she screams at them to get their hands off of her. As they laugh at her distress, the wheel of a bicycle suddenly enters the frame. The cyclist nearly collides with them, and the harasser whirls around, furious. The harasser confronts the cyclist, who is revealed to be Lu Yingche, and starts yelling insults at him. Kaio Xin, worried, calls out to Lu Yingche, telling him to be careful and to just ignore them. Lu Yingche remains completely calm, turning the insult back on the boy and calling him garbage. Enraged, the harasser grabs Lu Yingche's shirt, daring him to repeat what he said. Without a word, Lu Yingche sends his bike crashing into the boy's legs. The impact sends the bully stumbling back in surprise and pain. Lu Yingche looks at them, completely unfazed, and asks if they are still planning on sticking around. He challenges them, asking if they really want to start a fight right in front of the school. The other boy, losing his nerve, urges his friend to just forget it and leave. They beat a hasty retreat, shouting one last empty threat over their shoulder. Kaio Xin watches them go, breathing a sigh of relief that they are finally gone. She turns to thank her rescuer, calling out to stop him before he leaves. She shyly approaches him and sincerely thanks him for his help. Gathering her courage, she asks for the name of the boy who defended her. He tells her his name is Lu Yingche, and she quietly absorbs this new information. Tong Yaocheng arrives home, still burdened by Lu Yingche's mysterious backpack. She wonders about the surprising weight of his bag, while her cat, Lao Wang, suddenly becomes very alert. To her surprise, Lao Wang leaps directly at the backpack, causing her to cry out. The impact of the cat's jump dislodges something from an open pocket of the bag. She kneels down, scolding her cat for startling her so badly. An object tumbles out from the unzipped compartment of the bag. On the floor lies a small, adorable bunny music box, a stark contrast to the boy's tough exterior. A loud pounding on her door startles her and her cat. She gets up to answer, hairdryer still in hand. She freezes just before opening the door, suddenly conscious of her flimsy pajamas. She opens the door to find Lu Yingche leaning against the frame, a slight smile on his face. As he starts to speak, her cat, Lao Wang, suddenly launches itself at his face, causing chaos. Blinded by the feline assault, he stumbles around, trying to get the cat off of him. Utterly flustered, she pushes him back out into the hallway, promising to retrieve his bag for him. He crouches down, holding the angry cat and accusing it of attacking him on purpose. She returns with the backpack and hands it to him, and he turns to take it. Just as he's about to leave, she remembers the music box and holds it out to him. She explains that it fell out of his bag and asks if it's a music box, but his face darkens instantly. Misreading his expression, she teases him, surprised that he would like something so cute. He snatches the music box back from her, his voice sharp with anger, startling her with his sudden rage. She crouches down in shock, realizing that in the struggle, the small figurine on the music box has broken. She looks up at him, stammering an apology for the damage. He glares down at her, his anger unabated, and demands she hand over the broken pieces. She clenches her fist, trying to explain that she didn't mean to pry. She tells him that his level of anger seems completely unreasonable. He turns his back on her and walks away. She yells after him, stunned by his abrupt departure. Left alone in her doorway, she fumes at his harsh and dramatic overreaction. She stomps her foot in pure frustration, unable to comprehend his intense anger over such a small thing. Her anger dissolves into a quiet sadness, and she sits alone, speaking to the memory of her father. Night falls over Kaio Zin's large, elegant house. Lying in bed, she thinks back to the day's events, whispering Lu Yingche's name into the darkness. Shen Yaoshu politely talks with an adult staff member, modestly brushing off their praise for his hard work. After excusing himself, he pauses for a moment, a pensive look on his face before he leaves. Tong Yaocheng sits alone on her balcony, feeling small and disconnected from the world. In his own room, Lu Yingche sits with the broken music box, a faint, solitary light in the darkness. Kaio Zin relaxes in her comfortable room, seemingly in a world of her own, yet tangled in the same web as the others. The next day at school, she feels a wave of guilt and resolves to properly apologize to Lu Yingche as soon as he arrives. She steels her resolve, telling herself to be mature and open-minded about the whole situation. Just then, she hears his name and spots him at the classroom door. He walks into the classroom wearing the proper school uniform, looking surprisingly different and greeting his classmates. Hiding behind her book, she stares, surprised by how much the uniform changes his entire aura. She gathers her courage and tries to greet him as he approaches his desk, ready to apologize. She takes a deep breath, silently repeating her mantra to remain calm and mature. She launches into a sincere, slightly flustered apology for the previous night's incident with the music box. He doesn't even look at her. Instead, he simply puts in an earphone, sits down, and rests his head on the desk, ignoring her completely. Her apology rejected, her resolve shatters, and she explodes with frustration at his complete dismissal. Her outburst is immediately cut short by the sharp call of her name. The teacher, now thoroughly annoyed with her, demands to know why she is shouting and orders her to sit down. She immediately plasters on an innocent expression, hoping to avoid further trouble. The teacher calls her to the front of the class and hands her a stack of papers to distribute. It's a sign-up sheet for a volunteer library cleanup event happening on Saturday. She nervously asks her classmates if any of them are interested in signing up. Her question is met with a collective wave of disinterest and excuses from the entire class. She stands defeated at the front of the room. Not a single person wants to go. A mischievous idea forms in her mind. She approaches the sleeping Lu Yingche and sweetly asks if he'd like to volunteer. Taking his silence as consent, she cheerfully signs his name on the form for him, a perfect, petty revenge. At the library, he confronts her, furious that she signed him up for the event without his permission. She tries to calm him down by pointing out that she had to come too, as if that makes it any better. In reality, her plan had backfired. The teacher, seeing only one volunteer, forced her to go along as well. She looks around at the assembled students, waiting for the event to begin. Shen Yaoshu is in charge, explaining that each class will be assigned to a different area of the library. He concludes his instructions by telling everyone to check in with him for attendance. She stares in surprise, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. She hadn't realized Shen Yaoshu would be here. Lu Yingche follows her gaze to Shen Yaoshu, and a look of understanding dawns on his face. He immediately starts teasing her, accusing her of signing up just to be near Shen Yaoshu, which she frantically denies. She grabs the forms and insists she had no idea he was coming, trying to end the embarrassing conversation. Around them, other students are already complaining about the work ahead and looking for ways to sneak off. Liu Yingch is asked to reshelve books. A task he notes is nearing completion. He feels a strong urge to simply ignore her request, a flicker of irritation on his face. Deciding against his initial impulse, he calls out to get her attention, announcing a sudden emergency. Startled by his call, she turns with a look of pure confusion, trying to understand what he means. He gets to his feet, reiterating his supposed emergency as a reason to leave. With a serious expression, he states his intention to depart immediately. Panicked, she questions him about their shared cleaning duty, which he is now abandoning. He gently taps her with a book, casually passing on the remainder of the responsibility to her. She watches him leave, calling after him in disbelief and frustration. Alone, she fumes over his consistently irresponsible behavior. Looking at the remaining 2 rows of books, she feels a wave of despair at how long the task will take her. Resigned to her fate, she chides herself for getting involved with him in this task at all. Suddenly, the sound of her name, Tong Yaocheng, pulls her from her thoughts. A cheerful girl with light hair greets her warmly, reminding her that they've met before. The girl smiles brightly, certain that Tong Yaocheng will recall their previous encounter. The newcomer notices she's alone and asks about it. Tong Yaocheng reluctantly admits her partner ditched her. Without hesitation, the kind girl offers to help finish the chore. Taken aback by the kindness, Tong Yaocheng stammers, insisting that it's no trouble and she can manage by herself. Despite her politeness, a frantic energy betrays her attempt to decline the help, while the other girl watches with placid amusement. The girl gently takes her hand, telling her she's happy to help and that it's okay to accept support. As they work, the new girl explains her class finished quickly because many people volunteered, much to Tong Yaocheng's surprise. She confesses with some embarrassment that her own class had only a single volunteer. The real shock comes when she sheepishly admits she was the one who forced him to sign up. Her new friend can't help but laugh, finding the situation incredibly amusing. A thought dawns on the girl, and she begins to probe into the nature of their relationship. She asks with a smile if she and the boy get along well, clearly expecting a certain answer. Tong Yaocheng shakes her head frantically, absolutely denying any sort of good relationship. She launches into a tirade, recounting the endless trouble he's been since his arrival. She concludes her rant by stating that even her old Wang dislikes him, leaving her friend completely puzzled. The girl asks for clarification on old Wang, causing Tong Yaocheng to become flustered. She finally clarifies that old Wang is just her pet cat, whose expression perfectly matches her disdain. Her friend laughs warmly, finding her explanation adorable, which only makes Tong Yaocheng blush more. While verbally deflecting the compliment, she can't hide the small smile of pleasure it brings her. Her good mood is cut short as she examines the book in her hands, a sudden realization dawning on her. She struggles to even read the French title, her mind drawing a complete blank. Defeated by the unfamiliar language, she abandons the attempt to decipher the title. Confused, she asks her friend what makes this specific book so significant. Her friend lights up, explaining that a boy named Shen Yaoshu had been searching for this very volume. Tong Yaocheng expresses her surprise, confirming this is the book he wanted. She is immediately impressed, thinking how intelligent Shen Yaoshu must be to read such advanced material. A wave of self-deprecation hits her as she compares her own knowledge to his, feeling leagues behind. Her friend confirms her impression, remarking on Shen Yaoshu's wide range of knowledge from his extensive reading. The admiration in her friend's voice grows as she adds that he even reads them in the original French. Tong Yaocheng is filled with a profound sense of awe, amazed by his linguistic skills. The girl's smile turns insightful as she prepares to connect the dots for her friend. She looks at Tong Yaocheng, a gentle accusation forming on her lips. She puts it bluntly, asking if Tong Yaocheng is actually in love with Shen Yaoshu. Flailing in panic, Tong Yaocheng absolutely insists that it is not true, but her friend is unconvinced, pointing out that her eyes tell a different story. She explains that she saw the truth the moment Shen Yaoshu's name was mentioned. Tong Yaocheng's eyes lit up so brightly, a clear giveaway that leaves her blushing and speechless. Back in her room, she distracts herself by watching a tense drama on her phone. Her show is interrupted by a message notification, catching her by surprise. It's a text from Kaio Zin, who happily reports that she delivered the book to a grateful Shen Yaoshu. She wakes up groggily on her bed, confused about how much time has passed. An incessant knocking on her door rouses her completely, and she gets up, irritated to see who it is. Still annoyed, she tells the person on the other side that she heard them already. Yawning, she opens the door to complain about the relentless knocking. Her sleepiness gives way to mild irritation upon seeing it's just him. Suddenly wide awake, she unleashes her fury, questioning how he dares to show his face after leaving her with all the work. He holds up his hands, clearly wanting to avoid that particular conversation right now. Instead, he asks a completely unrelated and bizarre question about a swimming pool. She stares at him, baffled and slightly concerned by his nonsensical query. As she scolds him for being weird, her eyes drift downward, and she recoils in shock. She looks down to find her entire floor covered in water. She panics, demanding an explanation for the flood, while he looks on with weary resignation. He calmly points out the obvious source of the problem, a leaking pipe from the washing machine. She stares, aghast, admitting that she was completely oblivious to the disaster unfolding. Relief washes over her as she thanks him, realizing he saved her from far worse damage. His reply is flat and to the point. His own room is now flooded. Her gratitude turns to apologetic panic as he confirms the extent of the damage to his own apartment. Standing in his flooded apartment, she asks him to explain what happened. He states that the flood originated from his toilet, but there's more to it. He gestures for her to follow him to see the root cause. The sight of the ancient, crumbling wall and pipe makes her gasp in dismay. He states the obvious, that this was the source of the problem, as she looks on with sympathy. Trying to lighten the mood, she forces a smile and offers to forgive him for ditching her at the library. She bids him a hasty goodbye, expecting him to leave now that the situation is clear. Just as she turns, he grabs a lock of her hair, stopping her in her tracks. A sense of unease washes over her as she looks back at him. With a grave expression, he poses a question that makes the implications of the situation sink in. A wave of guilt hits her, but she tries to play dumb, asking him what he means. He states it as a fact, not a request. He will be staying with her tonight. Resigned, she gives him instructions for the bathroom, pointing out the necessary supplies. She warns him to secure the door against her meddlesome cat, who seems eager for a confrontation. She offers a final instruction before trying, and failing, to concentrate on her studies. In the bathroom, he casually looks for his clothes, oblivious to the menacing stare of the cat. Lao Wang's fury ignites. This intruder has finally captured its undivided, hostile attention. She struggles with her homework, baffled by the complex mathematical terms. Fresh from his shower, he glances at her work and casually provides the correct answer, startling her. He can't help but remark on her perfect record of incorrect answers, making her flush with embarrassment. She tries to hide her shameful work, but her protest dies in her throat as she gets a good look at him. Utterly flustered, she erupts, demanding to know why he's half naked. He looks irritated by her outburst, flatly stating that he forgot to pack pajamas. She insists he go back to his apartment for them, but he refuses, citing his dignity. With a sigh, she presents him with a couple of options from her own wardrobe. The first choice is a hopelessly frilly and feminine nightgown. The second is an embarrassing pajama set meant for her father, an option he finds physically repulsive. He begs for a better choice, but she loses her patience, telling him to stop being so demanding. He throws the clothes down in protest, declaring he has dignity to maintain, but she remains unmoved. With a deadpan expression, she tells him to put the clothes on before he gets sick. Defeated, he stands awkwardly in the ill-fitting pajamas, radiating discomfort. She can barely contain her amusement, assuring him through puffed cheeks that it looks great. His frustration boils over, but she doubles down, insisting the look really works for him. She pauses, tilting her head. Something is not quite right, though she can't place it. Suddenly, she shouts in realization. The band-aid on his nose is gone. He explains matter-of-factly that it came off in the shower. She immediately offers him one of her own band-aids, insisting he needs to keep the wound clean. Though he claims it's unnecessary, he takes the box from her. She laughs, noting that he says one thing but does another, which makes him blush. A gentle smile plays on her lips as she reflects on his character. She admits that his initial impression is off-putting and hard to approach. However, she's noticed that he consistently helps others when they are in need. It seems to her that he's putting up a front, hiding a different person underneath. She looks at him, concluding that in reality, he's much warmer than he lets on. He turns away, embarrassed by her assessment, and dismisses her words. She changes the subject back to his injury, reminding him of the proper first aid steps. He waves her off dismissively, clearly unwilling to make the effort. With an air of resignation, she decides to take matters into her own hands. While carefully tending to his wound, her curiosity gets the better of her. She gently chides him, reminding him that he has a family who would worry if they knew he was hurt. His response is bleak and final, dismissing the idea that anyone cares. She immediately argues back, insisting that everyone has someone who cares for them. As proof, she brings up the small music box he had seemed so protective of before. She deduces that it must be a gift from someone important, a thought that seems to strike a chord with him. His gaze softens, and he finally confesses that he has something to apologize for. With genuine remorse, he says he is truly sorry. He clarifies that his apology is for the incident involving her music box. She confesses that she cannot claim to understand his history or what he has been through, yet she believes she can empathize with his feelings, even if only a small amount. With newfound resolve, she vows to find a way to repair what was broken. She finishes applying the cartoon band-aid, announcing with satisfaction that it's all done. A bright, reassuring smile spreads across her face as she tells him he's all fixed up. He stares at her, the new band-aid on his nose, and quietly says her name. He looks at the childish strawberry band-aid on his face and asks if she possesses anything less whimsical. She brushes off his aesthetic concerns and orders him to bed. She points him towards his sleeping quarters for the evening. Alone in the quiet room, he closes his eyes, taking in the peaceful summer atmosphere. A startling realization cuts through his peace, and he questions his own thoughts. He felt a glimmer of light pierce the long-standing darkness within him. She's deep in a peaceful sleep, groggily wishing for just a little more rest. Her eyes fly open in alarm as a sudden commotion shatters her sleep. Panicked and confused, she tries to figure out the source of the chaos. She throws open her door, calling out in alarm. He's sitting on the floor in a state of disarray, flustered by her sudden appearance. She chastises him for his yelling, worried about what the neighbors might think. He retorts that it's her fault for not locking the door, blaming her cat for the incident. She ends the argument by slamming the door and yelling at him to get changed, or he'll be late. He's left alone, overwhelmed by a wave of embarrassment and regret over the recent events. He turns his frustration on Lao Wang, who responds with blatant disrespect. Behind her door, she's having her own crisis of embarrassment, mortified by her own forwardness. She curls into a ball of shame, feeling like she's been acting completely out of character. The day proceeds as normal, with students settling in for class. She sits at her desk, oblivious to the chatter of her classmates behind her. The sound of her name startles her, pulling her out of her headphones and back to reality. A boy shyly informs her she has a visitor, revealing Kaio Zin standing at the classroom door. Kaio Zin gives a small, friendly wave from the doorway. Tong Yaocheng walks over, a bit concerned, and asks what she needs. Kaio Zin reveals an adorable white kitten, and Tong Yaocheng immediately melts. Overcome with affection, she fawns over the tiny cat, stroking its head. Kaio Zin explains the kitten's backstory. It's a stray the student council has decided to take in. Since no one has any experience, she came to ask Tong Yaocheng for advice, just as Lu Yingch arrives. She concludes her request for help, her eyes now on both of them. Lu Yingch begins to recount the morning's incident with her cat, not realizing the implications. She flails in panic, desperately trying to cut him off before he says too much. She clamps a hand over his mouth, frantically trying to silence him. In a fierce whisper, she admonishes him for his carelessness, terrified that people will talk. An awkward tension fills the air as Kaio Zin looks on, confused by their strange behavior. Breaking the silence, Kaio Zin turns her attention to Lu Yingch, confirming his name. She introduces herself, jogging his memory of a shared childhood, past involving piano lessons. He dismisses her without a second thought, curtly stating he has no memory of her, and walks off. Outraged on her friend's behalf, Tong Yaocheng calls out his rudeness as Kaio Zin's face falls. She continues to vent her frustration, telling her friend that such a person isn't worth her time. Her anger subsides as she turns her attention back to Kaio Zin. Kaio Zin rallies, suggesting they go shopping for the kitten after school. As they walk, Tong Yaocheng can't help but notice the lingering sadness on her friend's face. In an attempt to lift her spirits, she distracts her with some cute dolls. She enthusiastically holds up a rabbit doll, insisting it's a perfect look-alike. Kaio Zin gently disagrees. For a moment, Tong Yaocheng seems to be confirming her friend's name, Kaio Zin. Their conversation is interrupted by the unexpected arrival of Shen Yaoshu. He addresses Kaio Zin, looking dejected as he asks for information about a debate competition. Her face brightens as she remembers her promise to update him. After a brief exchange, they say their goodbyes, planning to connect the next day. He offers a parting glance and a quiet farewell as he exits the store. Her heart skips a beat as she wonders if his parting words were meant for her. Kaio Zin teases her about her obvious blush, Much to Tong Yaocheng's embarrassment, she kindly advises her friend to relax, assuring her that Shen Yaoshu is a nice guy. A soft blush appears on Kaio Zin's face as she prepares to make a confession of her own. Tong Yaocheng looks at her friend, surprised by this sudden revelation. Tong Yaocheng frantically backpedals, clarifying that she only admires Shen Yaoshu, but Kaio Zin's smile says she knows better. Her squeaked protests of innocence only make her seem more guilty. To ease the tension, Kaio Zin excitedly suggests they buy matching hair ribbons. She happily agrees and tries on the ribbon, pleased with the idea. As she fiddles with the ribbon, Liu Yingche happens to pass by, looking utterly perplexed by her behavior. He watches her, baffled by her antics and wondering what is going through her head. His internal monologue is less than charitable. He concludes she just looks silly. Her phone rings, interrupting her, and she confirms the caller is the plumber she's been waiting for. As she ends the call, she's completely unaware of the person standing beside her. She quickly sends a text to her neighbor, whom she has labeled ignorant pig, offering to have the plumber check his pipes as well. His swift refusal arrives, which she accepts without a second thought. A follow-up message sends a jolt through her, as he reveals he's watching her at that very moment. He adds a compliment about the ribbon, leaving her blushing and confused. Her mind races as she tries to figure out how he can see her, and if he's nearby. She scans her surroundings frantically, a new wave of paranoia washing over her. Her eyes finally lock onto him as he walks away, and a sense of triumph fills her. With a smug smile, she composes a reply, letting him know he's been caught. Her triumphant mood vanishes as she watches him enter a hospital, a place she hadn't expected. The sun shines brightly on the school the following morning. The post-exam exhaustion is palpable in the classroom, but Liu Yingche rouses his sleeping deskmate. Startled awake, her first thought is to ask about his exam results. He sees her terrible score and can't help but comment on how bad it is. She can't believe he had the audacity to tutor her when his own grades are so poor. She voices her suspicion, but he shushes her, not wanting to draw the attention of the gossiping girls nearby. Her classmates are swooning over Shen Yaoshu, the school's flawless prince, who has once again secured the top rank. Tong Yaocheng overhears that his victory was not just by a small margin, but by a landslide. She reflects on his consistent academic excellence, a fact that is both impressive and perhaps a little intimidating. A sharp smack to her head jolts her from her thoughts, and she whirls around in anger. It was Liu Yingche, who seems unimpressed with her zoning out during class. He casually asks for a favor, needing help carrying things after school. She immediately turns him down, citing a prior commitment to her cat's dietary needs. His classmates invite him to play basketball, venting their own frustrations about the class representative. He politely turns them down, claiming he has other things to do. He spots her wallet left on the desk, a testament to her constant absent-mindedness. He holds her wallet, questioning how she planned to buy cat food without it. Discovering her phone is also in the wallet, he's struck by just how scatterbrained she truly is. The automated voice of the transit system announces the arrival of the next train. A shout cuts through the station noise, directed at someone standing near the tracks. It's him, holding up her lost wallet and calling her out on her carelessness. The realization dawns on her, and she runs towards him, grateful for his help. As she sprints toward the closing doors, he shouts a warning, a look of alarm on his face. A boy shouts in exasperation, worried about someone's recklessness. He clearly warned them before. He pulls her close to steady her, his face filled with genuine concern. She's caught off guard by the sudden intimacy. The train doors begin to close with a warning beep, a moment of finality. He watches, realizing how close a call that was. A wave of relief washes over him, but the danger still lingers in his mind. He explains that his action was pure reflex, an instinct to protect her. He asks if she was trying to board, but she can't find the words to answer. A flash of realization hits her. She remembers her wallet is still with the other boy, just as the train pulls away, separating them. Trapped on the moving train, she feels a sense of defeat. She decides to just wait until the next station, a small inconvenience. She worries about practical things, like food supplies. More importantly, she fears missing the chance to buy a limited edition CD. Resigned to her fate, she steels herself. She'll have to rely on the kindness of the store owner to save a copy for her. Overcome with frustration, she can't believe her own forgetfulness. How could she have left her wallet behind? She suddenly becomes aware of the student next to her, Shen Yaoshu. He's leaning closer than she expected, breaking her out of her frantic thoughts. Looking closer, she sees his eyes are closed. He's fast asleep right there on the train. She considers the pressure he must be under, The top student is clearly exhausted from his constant hard work. Her heart begins to pound inexplicably. The quiet closeness has made her incredibly nervous. The rapid thump in her chest is undeniable. She's flustered by the overwhelming physical reaction she's having to his presence. The station announcement startles her. It's time to get off, and she has a decision to make. She glances at him again, conflicted. Should she wake him for his stop? She questions her own motives. Part of her wanted to let him rest peacefully, but another part wished this moment could last forever. In the end, she chose silence. She let him sleep, letting her stop pass by. Looking away, she acknowledges her own confusing actions. She knows this isn't like her at all. He stirs, rubbing his eyes as he wakes up. She is surprised by his sudden consciousness. Disoriented, he looks around with a hint of panic. He has no idea how far they've gone. She informs him of their location, her voice tinged with the awkwardness of the situation. They're approaching Star Island Plaza. He breathes a sigh of relief. It seems he woke up just in time for his destination. He gives a soft smile, admitting he felt comfortable enough to fall asleep because he knew she was there. The implication of his words, that her presence is a comfort, sends her heart into a flutter. She is completely taken aback. The thought echoes in her mind. He felt relaxed. With her, the idea is both startling and strangely pleasant. Just as the train arrives at Star Island Plaza, he turns to ask about her stop. She's put on the spot, her face flushed. Panicked and embarrassed, she impulsively declares that this is her stop as well. In a flurry of embarrassment, she quickly thanks him for the day and makes a hasty exit from the train. Alone on the platform, she clutches her face, feeling the heat of a deep blush. The embarrassment is overwhelming. The initial mortification gives way to confusion. She takes in her surroundings and realizes she's never been to this part of town before. The world around her sparkles with an unfamiliar light as she stands lost in thought. The chaos of the day has caught up to her. She feels a desperate need to step away and catch her breath. Everything has been a whirlwind. As she tries to process it all, a familiar melody drifts through the air. Her attention is instantly captured. She knows this song. A serene figure holds a mooncake, offering a heartfelt wish for a beautiful autumn to all. She approaches the elderly shop owner, who is focused on a delicate repair. She greets him quietly. Gathering her courage, she presents her problem. She has a broken music box and hopes he might be the one who can repair it. The owner is willing to look, but she admits she was just passing by and doesn't have it with her today. A flicker of hope remains. She asks if a repair would be possible if she were to return with it the next day. The owner gives a practical response. He'll need to assess the damage first, but if it's not too extensive, a repair is certainly possible. As she approaches her home, her thoughts turn to the boy. She wonders if he's back already. Peeking through the window, she spots him. He's sitting inside, absorbed in his phone. He looks up and their eyes meet. His first question is one of concern, wondering what kept her out so late. He correctly guesses the reason for her visit. He tells her to wait a moment while he gets her things. It all clicks into place. In her panic, she'd completely forgotten that he was holding onto her most important items. He gently places her wallet on her head, explaining his plan. He had waited at the station, assuming she'd get off and come back for her belongings. His concern resurfaces, now more pointed. He can't understand why she would wander around so late, completely cut off. The realization hits her with full force. He waited, for her, she's speechless. Finding her voice, she apologizes for the misunderstanding. She had no idea he'd gone to such trouble. With a touch of bitterness, he assumes she was so caught up in her own enjoyment that she didn't even think to come back. His words sting, and she's baffled by his conclusion. What is he even talking about? Realizing he's overstepped, he becomes flustered and dismisses his own comment. He tells her to just forget he said anything. He tries to move on from the awkward moment, asking if there's any other reason she's there. Her mood shifts entirely. With a bright, hopeful smile, she makes a simple request, to borrow his musical box for just one day. He's immediately wary, wondering what scheme she's concocting now. She just winks and teases that it's a secret. He starts to shut her out, but she relents immediately. She can't let him go without telling him her plan. She excitedly reveals her discovery. She found a specialty shop, and the owner thinks a repair might be possible. He takes in her words, his face a mask of neutrality. Her hopeful explanation is met with silence. He tells her to forget it. With a defensive tone, he insists the broken box holds no value to him. She refuses to accept his dismissal. She knows better. She calls him out on his lie. She's not blind. She can see how much that music box means to him. The truth comes out. She admits her own culpability, revealing the guilt she's carried since the day she was the one who broke it. She manages her expectations, acknowledging that a fix isn't guaranteed. Despite the uncertainty, her resolve is firm. She looks at him, pleading for the chance to at least try to make things right. A quiet moment passes between them, filled with unspoken weight. He gives in. With a sigh of resignation, he places the delicate, broken music box in her hands. He mutters about how exasperating she is, but his words lack any real heat. She just smiles, triumphant. He looks away, a faint blush on his cheeks, and tells her he will accompany her to the shop. The next day, standing before the elegant shop, she's still reeling from his unexpected offer to join her. The owner examines the piece with a practiced eye. He recognizes it as an antique, warning them that finding replacement parts will be difficult. Her hope wavers. She presses the owner, desperate to know if there is any solution at all. The shopkeeper reiterates the challenge. Sourcing parts this old is a daunting task with little chance of success. Unwilling to give up, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He offers to make a call to a contact. The owner, encouraged by their persistence, agrees to try his contacts, but tempers their expectations with a dose of reality. On the phone, the owner describes the needed part, inquiring if his contact might have such a rare item in stock. The first call unsuccessful, he tries another number. He reaches out to Master Chen, hoping for better luck. The answer is no. The disappointment is visible on their faces as another door closes. The owner is ready to make another call, but the boy's expression is one of quiet contemplation. Abruptly, he reaches out and takes back the music box. He politely tells the owner that there's no need to search any further. As he walks towards the door, she calls out, completely bewildered by his sudden change of heart. She shouts his name, Liu Yingche, her voice filled with urgency and confusion as he ignores her. She chases him out of the store, yelling for him to wait. She won't let him just walk away. Watching him walk away, a sudden sharp pang of loneliness strikes her. He seems to be drifting away into his own world, creating a distance that feels vast and sad. A profound sense of loss settles over her. It feels like she let something precious slip through her fingers. He remains an enigma. Yet looking back, the strange, fleeting moment already feels like a cherished, distant memory. The scene triggers a flashback to her childhood, a memory of running and a treasured photograph left behind. She catches up to him, and with newfound resolve, she suggests they don't give up. She firmly states her belief that other stores exist, other repairmen can be found. She won't accept defeat. Her expression is resolute, her spirit unyielding. She's not the type to surrender, and she wants him to know it. Her persistence paid off. Now, they ride a bus together, on a renewed quest to find a solution. His attention is drawn to something amiss. He turns to her, his voice low with a simple question. He misinterprets the situation, immediately jumping to the conclusion that a stranger is bothering her. A fierce, protective instinct takes over. She laughs off the misunderstanding, explaining her only concern was for the delicate music box in the bumpy ride. He falls silent, processing her explanation as the automated voice announces their approach to a station. He observes her with a new perspective, noting her unexpected level of care and focus. She puffs up her chest with pride. At this moment, her entire mission is dedicated to protecting his treasured possession. With a determined fist pump, she assures him of her reliability. She's got this. A genuine, gentle smile spreads across his face. He leans closer, his voice soft as he entrusts the task to her. The proximity, his sudden gentleness, it's all too much. Her heart hammers against her ribs, a familiar, frantic rhythm. She feels the blush creep up her neck. There's no denying it. Her heart just skipped a beat for him. A cheerful voice cuts through the air, and she sees her friend, Yu Cheng, waving happily in her direction. She hurries to meet her friend, panting slightly from the rush. She worries she's kept her friend waiting, but is reassured that they both arrived at the same time amidst the holiday crowd. Together, they take in the lively atmosphere of the shopping district, both thrilled by the festive energy. Her eyes light up at the sight of costumed mascots. She finds them absolutely adorable. A strange mascot with an onion head and mushroom accents stands awkwardly by a restaurant entrance. It's an odd sight. She recoils slightly. The mascot is so bizarrely ugly, she can't imagine anyone finding it appealing. To her utter shock, her friend points at the mascot with delight, calling it cute. She can't comprehend how anyone could see it that way. Her friend's enthusiasm is infectious. She proposes they have their meal right there. It's a strategic move. Eating early means they'll avoid the crowds and be guaranteed a good table. She finishes her plate with gusto, much to her friend's amusement. The food was unexpectedly delicious. Despite the good food, she can't shake the image of the strange mascot. Its ugliness is a lingering thought. Just as she's thinking about it, the onion mascot walks into the restaurant. She inwardly cringes at the sight. The mascot's shift is over. The head comes off, revealing an old man ready to pass the costume to his replacement. She suddenly starts coughing, having choked on her drink. Her friend looks over in concern. Her eyes widen in shock. The person taking over the mascot duty is Shen Yaoshu, and her friend is already waving a cheerful greeting. As he walks over, the horrifying realization dawns on her. The ugly mascot she'd been silently mocking was Shen Yaoshu. Her friend, oblivious to her inner turmoil, strikes up a casual conversation with him about his job. He stands over their table, politely inquiring about their meal, completely unaware of her previous thoughts. For the first time, she sees him outside the context of school, in casual clothes, and her brain short-circuits. Her silent, stunned staring makes him blush. He quickly makes an excuse to leave and change his clothes. A new thought surfaces. She just witnessed a side of Shen Yaoshu she never knew existed, a flustered, shy side. This glimpse behind his usual stoic mask is a revelation. Her friend gets straight to the point, asking the question that hangs in the air. With feelings this obvious, will she confess? The directness of the question catches her off guard. She doesn't know how to respond. Her friend offers her support. She's willing to help her navigate her crush on Shen Yaoshu. The offer comes with a price. She looks at her expectantly, proposing a trade of favors. She's completely baffled. What kind of help could her popular and confident friend possibly need from her? Her friend brings up a previous conversation, reminding her of the confession she once made about her own crush. The secret is revealed. The person her friend has feelings for is none other than Liu Yingche. The name hangs in the air, a stunning revelation. Liu Yingche. She says his name again, Liu Yingche, her expression soft and full of unmistakable love. A wave of self-consciousness hits her friend. She worries that her sudden confession was awkward or bothersome. She tries to reassure her friend. It wasn't bothersome, just surprising, very, very surprising. Hearing that it was just unexpected, her friend breathes a small sigh of relief. She confesses her own struggles. Whenever she's near Liu Yingche, she can't seem to think or speak properly. This helpless, tongue-tied version of herself is a complete stranger. She feels she loses all her usual composure. Listening to her friend's description, a thought begins to form in her mind. Her friend makes the connection, assuming that she must experience the exact same feeling of being flustered when she's around Shen Yaoshu. Her friend's words create a deep confusion within her. If her feelings are for Shen Yaoshu, why did her heart react that way for someone else? She doesn't understand herself. The thought suddenly takes shape in her mind. Kaio Xin and Liu Yingche. Her imagination runs wild, picturing them as a perfect, happy family. The image is so jarring and unpleasant that she immediately dismisses it as impossible. She comes to a sudden halt on the sidewalk. This entire situation feels profoundly strange. A deep sense of inner turmoil washes over her. Why are her emotions so tangled and chaotic? The feeling is a mix of irritation and anxiety. It's an uncomfortable state of being that she can't seem to shake. She can't find a logical explanation for her feelings. The only conclusion she can draw is that she's not herself today. Arriving at her door, she distracts herself with the simple task of finding her keys, trying to push the confusing thoughts away. The key in her hand reminds her of her commitment. Kaio Xin asked for her help, and now she has to figure out what to do. She considers the task ahead. How is she supposed to approach him with this information? She plays out a ridiculous scenario in her head, acting as a wingman and announcing Kaio Xin's feelings to an unamused Liu Yingche. In her mind, his reaction is predictably cold. He'd surely just dismiss the entire idea without a second thought. She sighs, it's a hopeless cause. She can already predict the failure. However, the person confessing would be Kaio Xin. That fact makes the outcome less certain. She reasons that no one, not even the emotionally distant Liu Yingche, could be unhappy about a confession from someone as wonderful as Kaio Xin. The conflicting thoughts become too much. She erupts in a small fit of frustration, trying to physically shake the annoyance away. He appears out of nowhere, catching her completely off guard. Her shriek is one of pure shock. He calmly explains his presence, having been drawn by her loud outburst. He's just wondering what could have possibly happened. Caught red-handed, she fumbles for an explanation, unsure how to begin. In her flustered state, she suddenly realizes a new problem has arisen. Her keys are gone. She frantically searches, certain they were in her hand just a second ago. She rounds on him, her frustration finding an easy target. This is all his fault for sneaking up on her. He can only react with tired disbelief, as she insists her lost keys are somehow his responsibility. Resigned to his fate, he agrees to help search for the missing keys, despite her irrational anger. Not wanting to be left behind, she immediately volunteers to join the search party. He shuts down her offer, telling her to simply wait where she is. He'll handle it. He turns back with a glint in his eye, boasting about his supposed expertise in finding things. She's unimpressed by his strange boast. The logic is flawed, but she keeps the thought to herself. The point is, he'll do the work. All she needs to do is wait for him to return. Just as he's about to leave, she reaches out and tugs on his sleeve, stopping him in his tracks. There's something she has to do first. She looks down, gathering her courage. She steels herself to deliver the message she promised to convey. This is it. At that moment, before he leaves, she knows she has to tell him something important. Even her cat seems to sense the impending awkwardness. She braces herself to ask the difficult question. Before he can go, she calls out to him, her voice hesitant. She looks down, gathering the resolve to speak. She has something she must tell him. Overcome with a sudden, urgent need, she makes a mad dash for the bathroom. She comes out feeling much better, as if she survived a great ordeal. Peeking out the door, she gives him the all-clear. He stares at her, completely bewildered. He seems at a loss for words, a faint blush dusting his cheeks as he tries to process the situation. He mentions her overly dramatic expression, and she defensively insists her need was genuinely important. His lack of understanding is infuriating. She can't believe how dense he can be. The entire exchange is bizarre, and she can't help but feel frustrated by the awkwardness of it all. She speaks her thoughts aloud, questioning what cosmic luck led to someone falling for him. He interrupts her musings, ready to get on with the task at hand. It's time to find her keys. Her words trigger a vivid fantasy in his mind, where she is tearfully and passionately confessing her love for him. He snaps back to reality, horrified by where his imagination just took him. That can't be what she meant. A seed of doubt is planted. Could she have feelings for him? Noticing his red face, she calls him out on it, completely unaware of the turmoil she's caused. Seeing this new, flustered side of him, she decides he might not be as cold and distant as she thought. She reflects on his character. He's a man of action, not words, and possesses a quiet sense of duty. She finally understands the appeal. His silent, reliable nature must be what captured Kyo Zin's heart. Her observation is less than flattering, and he immediately refutes the absurd accusation. She has more important things to worry about. The sun is setting, and her keys are still missing. He gently reminds her of his earlier promise. He's already on the case. She feels a pang of guilt for her earlier outburst and takes responsibility for her own carelessness. He shrugs it off. He might as well help her search. It's not like he has other plans. Stealing her nerves, she decides now is the time to finally ask the question she's been avoiding. She finally poses the question, making sure to frame it as a query for her friend. The question sends him into a panic. Why is she asking this now? Could his fantasy actually be true? She looks at him, bewildered. His shocked, blushing reaction seems completely out of proportion to her simple question. Seeing his panic, she tries to calm him down with a nervous laugh, insisting it was just a casual question. She quickly offers him an out, telling him it's okay to keep such personal things a secret. The topic of liking someone has clearly struck a nerve. He avoids her gaze, his blush deepening. Watching his reaction, she feels a flicker of something she can't quite name. Something about his flustered vulnerability is captivating. For a brief moment, she sees past his usual guard. His eyes seem as clear as water and as deep as the night sky. The look he gave her was so intense. She questions her own interpretation of the moment. The intensity is too much. She stammers, trying to steer the conversation back to the safe, practical topic of her lost keys. Distracted and flustered, she loses her footing on the stairs and cries out in pain. He lunges forward, his voice sharp with alarm as he sees her fall. She lands against him, immediately apologizing. He groans dramatically, claiming the impact is fatal. His dramatic cry sends her into a real panic. She frantically asks where he's hurt. He continues the act, complaining of widespread pain and broken bones, making her panic even more. She's consumed by guilt and horror until she catches the telltale sign, a suppressed laugh. He can't hold it in any longer and reveals his joke, his laughter bright and genuine. Her panic turns to indignation. She playfully retaliates, annoyed that he scared her so badly. As they're messing around on the ground, his eyes catch on something nearby. The great key hunt comes to an anticlimactic end. They were dangling from her bag all along. She expresses her relief, her happy expression turning into a soft smile as she looks up at him. The laughter fades, and they are left staring at each other, the space between them charged with a new tension. He breaks the spell, blushing and deflecting by pointing out a stray lock of her hair. The memory of Kaio Zin's earnest confession echoes in her mind. Her crush is Liu Yingche. She pulls away, breaking the moment. With her keys now found, she has an excuse to retreat. Before she goes, she offers a sincere thank you and a genuine offer of future assistance. He dismisses her offer with a slightly gruff comment, implying he can handle himself. The brief moment of vulnerability is gone. As soon as he opens his mouth, his usual abrasive personality returns. With nothing left to say, she announces her departure. She gleefully tries to capture a moment together, urging Liu Yingche to join in for a picture. He, however, seems utterly unamused by the prospect. With a snap, a filter adds playful cat ears to their faces. She loves it, but his expression sours as he realizes he's been caught in the cute trap. His embarrassment quickly turns to anger. He furiously demands that she delete the incriminating picture right now. She mockingly dismisses his demand, finding his outrage amusing. He, infuriated but also flustered, tries to find another way to salvage the situation. In a complete reversal, he bashfully asks if she could, perhaps, send him a copy. She is left utterly baffled by his request. A young man stands alone, adrift in a void of his own making. He reflects that every heart holds a sky, a personal world within. His own inner sky, he concludes, is nothing but a pitch-black expanse, dim, desolate, and freezing cold. Surrounded by the silent markers of his achievements, he wonders how to ever escape this suffocating inner darkness. He questions the value of his efforts, wondering if simply trying his hardest will ever be sufficient. Lost in an endless night, he reaches for something he cannot grasp. The search is relentless, and he feels himself drowning in exhaustion. He holds onto a faint wish, a longing for a single, distant point of starlight to appear in his void. Even the smallest, dimmest flicker of light would be enough, a fragile beacon in his profound solitude. A notification breaks the silence, but it's not the connection he seeks. The star he searches for remains lost to him. She cheerfully bids farewell to her cat, Lao Wang, promising to be back soon after grabbing a bite to eat downstairs. Her recent behavior hasn't gone unnoticed. She's been acting strangely, vanishing the moment the school day ends. He corners her, bewildered by her avoidance. He questions if she sees him as some kind of monster. She tries to laugh it off, insisting he's imagining things. The air, however, is thick with an undeniable awkwardness. He changes the subject, announcing his hunger and making a simple proposal for them to go eat. His sudden invitation catches her completely off guard. She can't help but wonder about his motive. He explains his reasoning. A new restaurant is offering a 2-for-1 discount, a practical, if not romantic, excuse. Despite her stomach's audible protest, she insists she isn't hungry, her denial betrayed by a blush. He calls her bluff, reminding her of the plans he overheard. He just wants to eat, nothing more. He then fixates on the cat, first insulting it, then expressing shock that it's actually wearing clothes. Lao Wang is deeply offended. Caught in her lie, she can only stand there speechless and embarrassed. There's no denying it. After arriving at the restaurant, a quick look at the menu confirms her suspicion. He lied about the discount. She berates him for being so gullible, wondering where he got such false information. He closes his eyes and concedes with a simple admission. He was fooled. It takes him a moment to process her insult. Just as he does, she changes the subject, getting up to find some chili sauce. While getting the sauce, she accidentally spills a drop on her hand. Distracted and searching for a napkin, she collides with someone. The sudden impact leaves her wide-eyed with shock. She recoils from the collision, startled, as the young man she ran into apologizes for the mishap. In the dim light of the restaurant, a moment of recognition passes between them. It is her classmate, Shen Yaoshu. He explains his haste, and with genuine concern, checks to see if she is hurt. She quickly assures him she's fine, but a subtle change in her expression suggests otherwise. A sharp, twisting pain shoots through her ankle. The fall was worse than she first thought. He senses her discomfort and asks what is wrong, his face etched with worry. His gaze follows hers, and he sees the source of her pain, her injured ankle. He sees the swelling and asks about the pain, his voice laced with concern. She trails off, unsure what to say. She downplays her injury, urging him to go on his way and not to worry about a simple scrape. Despite her protests, his concern outweighs his hurry. He needs to check the injury himself. Panicked by his insistence, she frantically waves him off, her face flushing with embarrassment. Lu Yingqi intervenes, his hand clamping down on Shen Yaoshu's wrist. He has something to say. He angrily calls Shen Yaoshu a rude, self-righteous brat for his forwardness toward her. Blindsided by the accusation, Shen Yaoshu stammers, trying to defend his innocent intentions. Lu Yingqi's protective instinct twists into a wild accusation. He accuses Shen Yaoshu of being a pervert, stunning them both. She tries to defuse the situation, telling the other boy to ignore Lu Yingqi's outburst. Her attempt only infuriates him more. Shen Yaoshu clarifies his actions, explaining it was a simple misunderstanding born from concern for her injury. The word injured cuts through his anger. He turns his attention back to her, the reality of the situation dawning on him. His concern manifests as fury directed at her. He scolds her for her carelessness, leaving her baffled by his logic. She redirects the conversation, reminding Shen Yaoshu of his own urgency and subtly pushing him to leave. He looks conflicted, but ultimately decides to leave her in Lu Yingqi's care. She offers Shen Yaoshu a warm, appreciative smile, complimenting his overly responsible nature. Lu Yingqi watches her, a strange feeling stirring as he takes in her expression. There's something about the way she smiles at the other boy that he finds deeply unsettling. He can't quite place it, but her smile somehow makes him angry. Putting a hand on her head, he asserts his responsibility. He declares that he will be the one to see her home. Acknowledging the change in dynamic, Shen Yaoshu concedes, retrieves his things, and prepares to depart. Before leaving, he offers one last apology and tells her where she can find him if she needs anything. The moment they are alone, his concern surfaces again. She finally admits that her ankle is indeed twisted. His expression softens with worry as he presses for details. He needs to know how badly she's hurt. She tries to downplay the pain, claiming it's already getting better and doesn't seem to be too bad. He cuts her off by kneeling, ready to carry her. His offer is direct, leaving no room for argument. Despite his gesture, she insists she can walk on her own, claiming the pain has subsided. He takes matters into his own hands, hoisting her onto his back. He commands her to stay still. Annoyed by her struggling, he gives her a simple ultimatum: stop moving or he will drop her. Caught in the embarrassing situation, she can only stammer his name in protest. As they depart, she spots something left behind on the table. It's an unsettling oversight. She realizes with a jolt that Shen Yaoshu has forgotten his phone. He tells her his plan: a quick stop at a nearby drugstore for something to treat her injury. She feels a pang of regret. Perhaps this whole outing was a mistake. She absolves him of any blame for how the evening has turned out. He teases her, asking if her clumsiness is to blame for getting injured over something as simple as fetching chili sauce. Fed up with his teasing, she demands to know why he is being so particularly irritating. He starts to explain his behavior, but the reason hangs unspoken in the air. Flustered, he deflects with a burst of frustration, implying she is the cause of his unusual mood. She understands the real reason behind his prickly attitude. He's worried about her. The abandoned phone rings, displaying a call from home. She suspects it must be Shen Yaoshu. She decides to answer, hoping to connect with the phone's owner. A voice on the other end is confused, not recognizing who has answered the call. She introduces herself as Tong Yaocheng and explains she found his phone at the Kanto cooking place. Shen Yaoshu expresses his immense relief, having feared his phone was gone forever. She offers a simple solution, promising to return the phone to him at school the next day. He gratefully accepts her offer, and she brushes off his thanks, happy to help. She happily recaps the situation to Lu Yingqi, who seems completely uninterested and just wants the call to end. He turns the tables, pulling out his own phone and demanding she pose for a picture. He captures her at her most flustered, and she erupts in fury at his payback. Without missing a beat, he sets the unflattering photo of her as his new chat background. Held so close to him, her mind begins to wander, filled with unexpected observations. She finds her attention drawn to the soft, light-kissed curls at the nape of his neck. A fresh, minty scent from his shampoo drifts towards her, a clean and pleasant aroma. She observes that his shoulders, though strong, feel smaller than she imagined. It's a new perspective for her. She realizes this is the first time she has ever been close enough to a boy to notice such intimate details. The nature of her thoughts hits her with the force of a tidal wave. She's mortified by her own perverted mind. Alone in his room, Lu Yingqi tries to sleep, but his thoughts are consumed by how infuriating she can be. Meanwhile, she tosses and turns, her face flushed, completely unable to find sleep after the evening's events. The following day, she finds herself hesitating outside the student council room, gathering her courage. The door opens, revealing another student who questions her presence. She falters for a moment. She asks for Shen Yaoshu and is told to come inside and wait, as the room is currently empty. She gratefully accepts the offer and steps into the quiet student council office. Before he departs, the student leaves her with a cryptic warning about keeping someone named Christina inside. The name leaves her puzzled, wondering about the identity of this mysterious Christina. Suddenly, she remembers. Christina is the name of the cat her friend Kaio Zin had rescued. She marvels at the elegant name, a stark contrast to her own cat's humble name. As Christina naps peacefully, she gently greets the cat, trying to jog its memory of their previous encounter. Startled, Christina bolts from her touch and disappears into an open locker, leaving her to wonder why. She tries to lure the cat out, speculating that perhaps the scent of her own cat is making Christina wary. After a hesitant sniff, the cat finally trusts her. She scoops it up, promising a future playdate between the two felines. She giggles, delighted by the cat's affection, even as she notes the strange, scratchy texture of its tongue. Just then, Shen Yaoshu walks in. She greets him cheerfully, mission accomplished. He expresses his gratitude and checks on her well-being. She assures him her ankle has fully recovered. With the cat still in her arms, she presents him with his returned phone. She mentions, with a bit of embarrassment, that she gave the phone a little charge but did nothing else. His expression shifts to one of alarm, and she immediately fears they are about to be caught by a teacher. He reveals the source of his panic. The cat is contraband, its presence a secret from the faculty. His panic becomes hers. She frantically wonders how they're going to get out of this mess. In a flurry of motion, she searches for a quick hiding spot for the illicit feline. As she approaches a bookshelf, he lunges to stop her, his face a mask of terror. He knows that particular shelf is a disaster waiting to happen. His quick action saves her from being crushed by the collapsing shelf. She stares in wide-eyed horror. At that exact moment, Liu Yingqi and Kaio Zin enter, greeted by a scene of chaos and misunderstanding. Liu Yingqi's face darkens as he processes the scene before him. This cannot be happening. His unnerving silence is more frightening than any outburst would be. The weight of his potential misunderstanding crushes her, filling the room with suffocating awkwardness. Desperate to break the tension, she tries to make small talk about an upcoming school event. Her attempt is met with a wall of silence. He's completely ignoring her. He wordlessly grabs her hand and pulls her along, leaving her to question the reason for his anger. He finally erupts, his frustration boiling over. The intensity of his anger leaves her speechless. She stammers out a defense, insisting that he has completely misread the situation. Words tumble out of her in a frantic, detailed explanation of the bizarre chain of events, barely pausing for breath. As her story unfolds, his anger begins to recede, replaced by the slow realization that he jumped to the wrong conclusion. His priority shifts from anger to concern. He needs to know if she was hurt in the chaos. He starts to walk away, a blush on his cheeks, but she isn't ready to let the conversation end. She grabs his arm, insisting he finish what he was about to say earlier. She steps closer, demanding an honest answer to the question that's been bothering her. He corners her, both physically and emotionally, asking the one question that matters to him right now. Flustered by his directness, she tries to deflect, claiming her feelings are none of his business. He refuses to let her off the hook, challenging her assertion that it has nothing to do with him. She falters, trying to maintain that her personal feelings are her own affair. Their tense moment is interrupted by Kaio Zin, who was worried when they both suddenly disappeared. She explains that she heard about the accident from Shen Yaoshu. Her immediate concern is for her friend, checking to make sure she wasn't injured in the collapse. She reassures her friend and immediately turns her own concern toward the boy who protected her. Kaio Zin explains that Shen Yaoshu is unhurt, but was unexpectedly called away. She remarks on the school's negligence, noting that the faulty shelf has been a known problem for a while. Kaio Zin feels bad for the timing of it all and promises to catch up with her after the break. Liu Yingqi decides to leave, but Tong Yaocheng quickly calls out, asking him to wait for her. With a hasty farewell to her friend, she dashes off to follow him. Arriving home, she is stopped by her landlady, who has something to report. The woman recounts seeing an unfamiliar girl loitering near her apartment earlier in the day. A flicker of unease prompts her to ask for more details about this mysterious visitor. The landlady struggles to recall the details, mentioning only that the girl was tall and had curly hair. She confirms the girl was a complete stranger, not anyone she recognized from past visits. An image of a woman with curly hair flashes through her mind, sparking a startling possibility. She quickly pushes the thought away, telling herself it's impossible. Miles away, Liu Yingqi is worrying about her, wondering what kind of trouble she's getting into now. His phone lights up with a message from a young girl, asking if he will visit the next day. He sends a quick affirmative reply, his response simple and direct. He acknowledges a promise made and resolves to go out and fulfill it without worry. On his way, he's on the phone, confirming his arrival while simultaneously trying to haggle over price. The negotiation is clearly not going well. He sounds strained and frustrated. He's not buying something, but meeting his landlord, who is explaining that the rent has already been significantly lowered. The landlord justifies the price, noting market rates and the special consideration he already provided for a young tenant. The woman, presumably a different tenant, looks distressed, unable to argue with the landlord's logic. Her hand resting on her child's shoulder, she makes a quiet, desperate plea for him to reconsider. Liu Yingqi, still on his call, feels increasingly awkward, admitting his discomfort around children. Eager to escape the uncomfortable situation, he abruptly ends his phone call. The mother continues her desperate plea, hoping for a small bit of mercy on the rent. She explains her financial hardship, trying to balance her daughter's education with their basic living costs. The landlord's patience wears thin. He coldly states that business is business and offers a harsh alternative. He points to the violin her daughter is holding, questioning her financial priorities with cutting logic. He offers some unsolicited, harsh advice, suggesting she focus on necessities before funding hobbies. The mother presents her daughter, Ningning, with a heartbreaking ultimatum tied to their housing situation. With tears in her eyes, the little girl selflessly agrees to give up her passion for her mother's sake. The mother kneels to comfort her child, torn between nurturing her daughter's dream and ensuring her basic needs are met. A memory surfaces for Liu Yingqi, his own mother's praise, a moment of warmth and encouragement from his childhood. Stepping forward, Liu Yingqi decides to intervene in the standoff. He makes a surprising offer, proposing to rent out his own apartment to solve her problem and his own. His offer leaves the mother and landlord stunned. Even he seems to be figuring it out as he goes. The young girl, with innocent clarity, asks the most practical and important question. He improvises a story about an idiotic relative upstairs, claiming he has a place to go. Startled from her sleep, she opens her door, groggily complaining about the disturbance. She is met with the bewildering sight of Liu Yingqi and all his belongings, looking like he's on the run. Her immediate reaction is a vehement, absolute refusal. She tries to set him straight, telling him her home is not a public inn, and ordering him to leave. He delivers the news that makes his situation her problem. His own apartment is unlivable. He pins the blame squarely on her, claiming a leak from her apartment has flooded his, making her responsible for his housing. She eyes him with suspicion, certain that she had already taken care of that plumbing issue. He easily sees through her bluff, pointing out that her face betrays her lie. She attempts to end the conversation by slamming the door, but he is not so easily dismissed. Since his initial tactic failed, he resorts to a silent, intense stare-down. He plays the victim, sighing dramatically about his homeless plight, a performance just for her. She stands there, utterly bewildered by the bizarre turn of events. Her anger wins out. She slams the door shut, deciding she's had enough of his nonsense. Her conscience gets the better of her. She reopens the door, caving in but with strict conditions. He completely ignores her terms, striding past her as if he owns the place and demanding his room. Defeated, she gestures towards her own messy room, offering it up as a temporary solution. She adds a quick, embarrassed apology for the state of the room, promising to tidy up. She lays down the law, making it clear that this arrangement is temporary and comes with strict boundaries. In a panic, she realizes she has to clean before he can enter and tries to push him out, much to his amusement. He calmly agrees to her request, leaving her alone to deal with her profound embarrassment. She launches into a furious cleaning frenzy, muttering angrily about his complete lack of consideration. Amidst the clutter, she unearths a treasured item, a bow she purchased with her friend. In the living room, Liu Yingqi attempts to introduce himself to his new, very unimpressed feline roommate. The news hits the cat like a lightning bolt, a development of pure, unadulterated horror. The cat's hostile reaction only serves to irritate him further. His gaze lands on a photograph, and he recognizes the much younger face of his new, temporary landlady. He picks up the frame, a small, involuntary thought crossing his mind. She was a cute kid. Her voice cuts through his thoughts from behind him. She reminds him of the rule he has just broken, her tone leaving no room for argument. With the boundary re-established, she informs him that his temporary quarters are ready. He's left wondering about her sudden shift in demeanor, from flustered to cold. She has one more condition for him, a request for total secrecy regarding their living situation. He can't see the reason for such secrecy and questions her motive. She snaps, desperate to avoid the inevitable gossip and rumors that would spread at school. He seems unbothered by her outburst, simply turning to retreat to his room. He echoes her earlier sentiment, establishing his own boundary for their cohabitation. In a memory, Kyo-jin blushes, confessing that she too has someone she likes. With a hopeful smile, she reveals the object of her affection, Liu Ying-chi. The school bell rings, signaling the end of the day and the beginning of new developments. A familiar voice calls out her name, catching her attention as she leaves school. It is Kyo-jin, beckoning her over with an excited smile. Yao Chang is happy to see her friend, though she's a bit surprised by the unexpected meeting. Kyo-jin triumphantly displays her prize, movie tickets to a film with a very suggestive title. Yao Chang's eyes light up with excitement. She's heard great things about the movie. Kyo-jin proposes a date for their movie outing, and Yao Chang enthusiastically agrees. Kyo-jin then separates 2 tickets from the stack, handing them over to her friend. She holds one of the remaining tickets close, a dreamy, hopeful expression on her face. She then makes her move, asking her friend to act as a go-between and deliver the final ticket to Liu Ying-chi. The request sends Yao Chang into a panic. She tries to refuse, stammering out a lie about not living with him. Kyo-jin doesn't understand the fuss, offering a simple, logical solution that ignores the true source of her friend's panic. A sudden fright leaves her flustered and speechless. Yao Chang nervously promises her friend Kyo-jin that everything is fine, and she will deliver the ticket tomorrow. Kyo-jin earnestly thanks Yao Chang, pleading with her to make sure he goes. With clasped hands and a hopeful look, she makes one last entreaty. The memory of Kyo-jin's desperate expression lingers, as Yao Chang clenches the tickets in her hand. Yao Chang reluctantly agrees, and Kyo-jin is ecstatic, proclaiming her the best friend ever. The sudden appearance of that bright smile feels strangely momentous. Seeing her friend so happy makes the troublesome favor feel entirely worthwhile. As she cooks, she recalls the harsh things she said to Liu Ying-chi just yesterday. She frets over the timing, certain he will reject her invitation to the movies after their argument. She vividly imagines his disdain, dismissing the movie's title and demanding an apology before even considering it. She berates herself for making their relationship so awkward right after she had agreed to let him stay with her. A voice startles her from behind. Liu Ying-chi has appeared, curious about the good smell from the pot. Flustered, she questions his silent return. He coolly points out that she was too preoccupied to hear him come in. He announces his hunger and reaches for the pot, asking when he can eat. She instinctively pulls the pot away, claiming it as her own. She declares that the food is for her alone, telling him to make his own if he wants to eat. He calmly reveals he bought food for her too, leaving her utterly speechless. She stares in disbelief, unable to process his unexpected act of kindness. Gazing at the simple meal she prepared, a sense of shame begins to creep in. She is struck by a humbling realization of how petty she has been. She can't understand why he's acting as if nothing happened, despite her being so rude. She murmurs that she actually made a lot of food. Flushing slightly, she shyly suggests that maybe they could eat together. Her own unreasonable, narrow-minded behavior flashes through her mind. He never questioned or condemned her. He just quietly treated her with kindness in his own way. She sees him in a new light, realizing Liu Ying-chi is, in fact, a gentle and soft person. He examines the ticket, his expression questioning the movie's peculiar name. He bluntly wonders about her taste in movies. She becomes defensive, insisting the film is very popular. Without any argument, he simply agrees to go with her. She is completely taken aback by his easy acceptance. She confirms the date and time for the movie. He acknowledges it without fuss. His stomach rumbles, and he impatiently reminds her that he's starving and wants to eat now. She is relieved, thinking that at least he agreed to go. A text message from Kyo-jin sends a jolt of panic through her. Her friend is nearby and ready for the movie. She stares at her phone in horror. Almost there, this is a disaster. In a flash, she bolts from her bed, rushing to find Liu Ying-chi and wake him up. He complains about the racket, coolly informing her that he was already awake. She stands frozen in her pajamas. He's already dressed and ready, mentioning he was looking forward to the movie. He tells her to hurry up. She grabs his arm, frantically telling him to wait outside. He is completely bewildered by her frantic behavior, but she insists he stop asking questions. She shoves him towards the door, ordering him to stay out until she gives the okay. He demands an explanation for her bizarre actions. There is no time to explain, she yells, her mind racing. She frantically pushes him out of the room. She promises to explain later, shutting the door on his confused face. The truth dawns on her with sickening clarity. There were only 2 tickets. Kaio Zin arrives with another boy, cheerfully asking if Lu Yingqi lives downstairs. Her companion, Shen Yaoshu, looks on as Kaio Zin laughs, saying she doesn't remember being told that. Lu Yingqi appears, looking thoroughly annoyed and confused by the unexpected crowd. Yao Cheng scrambles for an excuse, quickly claiming she invited Lu Yingqi and he came over early. She glances at him, desperately willing him to play along. He scoffs, having figured out the situation. She silently promises herself he will pay for this later. Kaio Zin pulls her aside for a whispered confession. She reveals that she tricked Shen Yaoshu into coming, thinking he's simple enough to fall for it. Yao Cheng is dumbfounded. Kaio Zin wishes her good luck and abandons her, leaving Yao Cheng to deal with the fallout. Shen Yaoshu grows suspicious. This doesn't look like the way to the library, and no one else has books. The movie theater is packed. Yao Cheng laments that it was too crowded to get 4 seats together. The only options are 2 seats in the front and 2 in the back. Yao Cheng accepts that it can't be helped. Kaio Zin proposes that Yao Cheng and Shen Yaoshu take the front seats, while she and Lu Yingqi sit in the back. She turns to Lu Yingqi, explaining that they need to finish their conversation from the student council. Now seated next to Shen Yaoshu, Yao Cheng makes a hesitant offer of popcorn. He politely refuses the snack. She worries that he's angry about being deceived into coming here. Trying to salvage the situation, she tentatively asks if he likes this kind of movie. He confesses that he has no idea what movie this is. He explains he was under the impression they were all going to the library. Her anxiety skyrockets. She sees his bag is full of books and despairs, wondering how to fix this mess. She desperately tries to justify the outing by suggesting the popular movie might appear on a test. As a last resort, she promises they can go to the library right after the movie. While she's anxiously talking, her phone slips unnoticed from her pocket. She suddenly realizes her phone is missing and begins to panic. She looks around in the dark, unable to find it anywhere. Shen Yaoshu sees her distress and kindly offers to help her search. He finds the phone and returns it to her. She stammers her gratitude, flustered. He tells her not to mention it, admitting that relaxing with her isn't so bad after all. A hand clamps down on her shoulder from behind, making her jump. Lu Yingqi leans over the seat, his expression intense as he asks what they are doing. He fixes his gaze on her popcorn. He declares that he wants some of it, completely ignoring the 2 he's interrupting. He didn't buy the caramel flavor, he explains, and hers tastes better. She thinks he's being completely immature, but passes the bucket to him anyway. He then chides them for talking during the movie. He complains their chatter is distracting him from the film, much to her annoyance. She calls him a hypocrite under her breath. He should mind his own business. From the back row, Kaio Zin observes that Lu Yingqi still seems to like sweets. She starts to reminisce about their shared past, though she doubts he remembers her. She mentions their childhood piano lessons and how he always carried candy. She even remembers bringing candy of her own to trade with him. She asks him directly if he remembers any of it. He seems to recall something faint, a distant memory of that time. She is thrilled that he remembers, even a little. Overjoyed, she admits she was worried he had forgotten her completely. Suddenly, she begins to cough, choking on her drink. Both Yao Cheng and Shen Yaoshu turn in concern. Lu Yingqi immediately asks if she's all right. She asks for some water, still trying to catch her breath. Yao Cheng starts to offer her own drink, but Lu Yingqi is faster, passing his cup to Kaio Zin. She takes a sip from his cup, using his straw without a second thought. Watching them, Yao Cheng feels a pang of something complicated. They look just like a couple. A question surfaces in her mind. Is she truly happy for her friend? She tells herself that she must be. She sits alone, again questioning if she's truly happy for Kaio Zin. She forces herself to believe that she must be. After the film, Shen Yaoshu thanks her sincerely, admitting he enjoyed the unexpected break. It's a moment of irony. The only person who actually enjoyed the movie was the one who was tricked into being there. Shen Yaoshu announces he has to leave for work, and they all wave goodbye. Kaio Zin suggests the remaining 3 do something else, like karaoke or dinner. Lu Yingqi cuts her off, stating he is also leaving now. Kaio Zin is surprised. Yao Cheng is left stunned as both of them depart, leaving her and Kaio Zin alone. Kaio Zin apologizes for being distracted, but says she was really happy today. A faint, satisfied smile plays on her lips. She believes Lu Yingqi still remembers their childhood, and that's enough for her. She idly wonders where Lu Yingqi went in such a hurry. She asks why he didn't walk home with them since they're neighbors. Yao Cheng has no answer. Yao Cheng thinks about his secretive nature and how he always rushes off after school. Suddenly, all the pieces click together in her mind with horrifying clarity. She leaps to a wild conclusion. He must be supported by a wealthy older woman. She panics, imagining him bringing strange women into her apartment, and schemes to get him to move out. Just then, Kaio Zin points ahead, asking if that's Lu Yingqi. Yao Cheng looks up and confirms that it's him. Then she remembers. She once saw him going to the hospital after school. Her absurd theory shatters. He wasn't meeting a secret lover. He was going to the hospital every day. They hear his voice. He's brought his grandmother some kanji. He's at his grandmother's bedside, asking how she feels today. A passing nurse compliments him on being such a caring grandson, adding that his grandmother is recovering well. Yao Cheng and Kaio Zin peek through the window of the hospital room, trying to see better. Suddenly, the door opens, and they are face to face with a surprised Lu Yingqi. He asks why they're sneaking around. Yao Cheng sputters that they aren't thieves. They just didn't want to be seen. Kaio Zin recovers quickly, asking if this is where he goes every day after school. She beams at him, her eyes sparkling with admiration for his dedication. Yao Cheng is also impressed, thinking Kaio Zin is truly amazing, always perfect in every situation. His grandmother sees the girls and asks her Zayuach if they are his classmates. She warmly invites them in, much to Lu Yingqi's visible dismay. He turns to the girls and bluntly tells them to leave. His grandmother immediately scolds him for his rudeness. She smiles at them, telling them they are both very pretty. She then puts him on the spot, asking the girls if it's true that he's a top 10 student like he always tells her. Kaio Zin gives a vague confirmation, while Yao Cheng shrinks away, unable to bear the blatant lie. Yao Cheng mouths insults at him from behind her friend's back. He glares back, mouthing that it's none of her business. She huffs, deciding he's not worth arguing with. Yao Cheng turns to the grandmother and politely inquires about her health. The old woman replies that she's doing wonderfully, all thanks to her Zayuach's daily care. She worries that it's a lot of trouble for him, coming to visit her every single day. She then explains that Lu Yingqi is not her grandson, but her neighbor's child. With deep affection, she says he's closer to her than her own son. The revelation stuns Yao Cheng. An embarrassed Lu Yingqi quickly cuts her off, insisting she should be resting. His grandmother just laughs, seeing right through his embarrassment. The girls smile at the tender scene. As they leave, Lu Yingqi bids his grandmother farewell, promising to see her again soon. Outside, Kaio Zin mercilessly teases him about the top 10 lie. He warns her to stop. She muses that claiming to be a top student was perhaps a bit too much of an exaggeration. A blonde girl suddenly appears, asking if they are finally done. She mockingly tells the top 10 student to calm down, joining in the teasing. She cheerfully greets the grandmother, apologizing for her late arrival. She asks if her brother Zayuach has been waiting. Lu Yingqi recalls being asked how living with Tong Yao Cheng has changed things. He thinks back on their mundane daily life, starting with the morning routine. They jostle for space in the tiny bathroom, bickering over the mirror. Then comes breakfast, where he complains about her cooking, and she dares him not to eat it. At school, they study side by side. He sleeps while she secretly watches dramas on her phone. When he returns from the hospital in the evening, she sometimes greets him with a home-cooked meal. The dinner argument is a familiar script. He finds fault with the food, and she gets angry. His mind wanders to a much more intimate version of their routine. A sharp smack to his head brings him back to reality. It was just a joke. The truth is much more mundane. They simply take turns showering. Still, he admits there are perks. On weekends, they sometimes watch TV on the couch, laughing together until they doze off. She wakes with a start, confused and disoriented. The power is out, plunging the apartment into darkness. She fumbles around, looking for her phone. A figure emerges from the darkness, steadying her head to keep her from stumbling. She's so used to him calling her an idiot that she instantly knows it's Lu Yingqi. She asks where he appeared from, padding around in the dark for her phone and touching his bare torso instead. She wonders why his chest is wet, her mind slow to connect the dots. He blushes furiously in the dark, telling her she needs to be more aware of her actions. The mortifying realization hits her. She lets out a scream and tries to flee in embarrassment. He grabs her wrist, stopping her from running away. He pulls her back just as she's about to walk into a wall, saving her from injury. She yells at him for hitting her, completely missing that he was just trying to help. Their usual bickering fills the dark apartment.